Hi everyone. In this lesson we are going to cover a lot. We're going to cover everything you need to know to get started with HTML. So what I've done is I've broken this lesson up into a few separate videos to kind of break it down for you a little bit. Before you get started, you want to make sure you have the web programming folder downloaded. I put it on my desktop here. You can find the link to that underneath this video. And you also want to have Sublime Text installed, and the link to the download is also underneath the video. So I've just launched Sublime Text and here it is. It's pretty simple looking, but it's way more better than Notepad, which is what we used in the last lesson. You'll see right off the bat why you don't want to use Notepad and you want to use something like Sublime Text to type in all your code. Okay, let's go ahead and open up the web programming folder in Sublime Text so we can have a look at all the files inside of it. To do that, go to File and then Open Folder, and then you'll want to navigate to your web programming folder. Mine is on my desktop, so here it is. So I'll hit Select Folder, and now you can see over here on the left we can see the web programming folder and everything that's inside of it. Now there's a bunch of stuff I put in here, so we'll get to a lot of this later, but we are going to start out in the HTML folder. If you open it up, there's a file that I already put in there. It's called index.html. You'll actually, if you poke around, you'll find quite a few files called index.html, and we'll talk about them later. But what we want to do now is we're going to add a new file to our HTML folder. So right click on the HTML folder here, and then choose New File, and you can see here's an untitled file. It's empty, appearing in the editor window of Sublime Text, and we want to save this and give it a different name. To save the file, press Control and S, the Control key and the S key at the same time, and that will pop up a window to save it. And then let's just type in HTML basics.html for the file name. So HTML-basics and then .html. And then hit the save button, and you can see that the file name is changed up here in the tab. Now, as I was saying, Sublime Text is way more powerful than Notepad for typing code. There's lots of tricks you can use in Sublime Text, and I'm going to try and show you as many as I can throughout the course. But here's the first little one we're going to do. What I want you to do is put your cursor right there on line 1, that's where it should be, and just type in HTML, that's it, just HTML, and then hit the tab key. And you'll see Sublime Text just inserted a bunch of elements into your code here. Now most of this should look familiar to you. Don't worry about this line here. We discuss it in the article, but you can ignore it for now. We'll talk about it later. But the rest of this stuff should look familiar. So I just want to fix the formatting. Sometimes Sublime Text doesn't format the code the way I want you guys as beginners to do it. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting lines 3 through 8. I just drag to select those and then hit the tab key, and now that should look a little bit better. We've got our HTML element, and inside of it we've got a head element and a body element. So all this should look familiar to you from the last lesson. I've just added some content up in the title tag there. It says HTML Basics. Why don't we go ahead and enter the same content that we put in the title tag here. So we'll make it say HTML Basics. Now every web page should really have a big heading at the top of the page, and that's what we've added right here with our H1 element. Okay, here's another nice thing about Sublime Text that I want to show you. There's a way to launch this page in the browser right from Sublime Text, but first we want to save our changes. Now I've got this little dot here, it's kind of by my cursor. If you see that as a dot, that means that you haven't saved changes. But if I press Control S, keep an eye on that little dot right there. I'll press Control S right now, and that means that I've saved all my changes, and that turns into an X, another little feature of Sublime Text. Okay, let's go ahead and launch this page right from Sublime Text. We'll launch it in the browser. So I can click anywhere in the background here, anywhere on the background of the page, and I should see an option here to open in browser. So I'll choose that option, and then Sublime Text will open the web page in our default browser. And that for me is showing up right here. There we go. Now, one more little trick I want to show you that I use all the time is we've got two windows going here. So I've got the web browser is showing my code running in the browser, and then I've got Sublime Text right there in the background. So I'm going to be working between these two applications quite a bit. And there's a Windows shortcut to toggle between all your open files. If you go ahead and put your thumb on the Alt key and hold it down, and then just quickly press the Tab key, you can see all your open programs. So here I've got my web browser, and then here's Sublime Text, and then here are the programs I'm using to actually record this video. But if you keep your thumb pressed down on the Alt key, you can tab through your open programs like this, and it's a real handy trick to toggle back and forth between open programs. So you'll hear me say Alt Tab quite a bit. So here I can, if I do Alt Tab, I can switch back to Sublime Text. If I do it again, I can switch back to the browser. So it's a nice little keyboard shortcut for switching back and forth between your open programs. Let's go ahead and add some more content to our web page here. So we're going to be working in the body element. Now, you know what an H1 element does? It makes a big bold heading for your page. Well, there's also an H2 element. So put your cursor right underneath the H1 element that we have in the body, and then press H2, that's the tag name, and then hit the tab button. And Sublime Text works its magic and puts in the rest of the syntax for us. And let's add this content inside of the H2 element. This is a smaller header. Okay, now I'm going to press Control S to save it. And you will see this pop up if you haven't paid for your Sublime Text yet. Now I have actually paid for mine, but I have to update the license key. You should pay for Sublime Text if you're going to use it beyond this course, but you can use it as an evaluation version throughout this course. And I encourage you to buy it if you're going to continue to use it. You can just press cancel for now though. Okay, so you'll see that window pop up every now and then unless you buy the license key for it. So I'm going to press Control S to save everything, and then I'm going to Alt Tab over to the browser, and in the browser here I'm going to hit the refresh button. Now I can refresh the page like this by pressing this button here, or I can press the F5 key. So I'll press the F5 key here, and now you can see our page reloads, and here's our smaller header right here. There's our H2 element. Okay, I'm going to Alt Tab back to Sublime Text, and now I'll hit return underneath and add a new line underneath our H2, and let's add an H3 element. So just type in H3 and then press the tab button, and then type some content in there. This header is smaller yet, like that, and I'll press Control S to save my changes, and you should see that ball turn to an X when you do that. Then I'm going to Alt Tab over to the browser again, and I'll hit refresh. I'm pressing F5, and you can see there's our H3. So I'm kind of just trying to get you used to this little workflow that we're using here between Sublime Text and the browser, and I'll be showing you little keyboard shortcuts along the way. Now make sure you read the article that goes with this video. It goes on to talk about how HTML is a way of structuring your content, and there's a video that goes with that section in the article as well. So you can move on to that section now.